Welcome back to this special edition of Life, Liberty, and Levin, which this evening is all about Mark's new book, The Democrat Party Hates America. It's an honor to be here. Don't adjust your sets. I'm in Mark's chair, but I won't be here long. Mark, as I've said before, a phenomenal read, and following on the conversation we've been having already, based on everything you've laid out, how were the Democrats able to flip the narrative as if it was the Republicans who were and are the racist, bigoted party? It was a deft move that they seemed to make.
The Democrat Party, never moored to our history, always rewriting history, is really a tyrannical party that seeks what? Power. So it's happy to be a chameleon in the way that it conducts itself. That's why we've gone from anti-black racism, which they thought was to its advantage, to now anti-white racism. Why? To attack the founding with the 1619 Project, to attack the Declaration, which is basically John Locke, which is the most important philosopher of the Revolutionary period, to attack the Constitution, which is basically Montesquieu, the most important philosopher of that period, and they write about him in the Federalist Papers, and to attack everything American from that.
Capitalism?
Capitalism, the whole founding and everything since. Because the Democrat Party does not accept this country. It didn't accept it when it was part of the Confederacy. It wanted to tear it to shreds. And it doesn't accept it today, now that it's the party of American Marxism and all these Marxist movements. So you've got to switch. You've got to switch from oppressing minorities to oppressing the majority, because the history, they say, is one of a corrupt nation. So now we have anti-white racism. And you're not allowed to talk about it. You can't even write about it. So I say, well, the hell with these people.
That's why you wrote about it.
Yeah. And you'll notice in that chapter how I talk about the rise of what I call civil rights Marxism. Because the civil rights movement today, who is the leader of the civil rights movement? Nobody. Well, why isn't there a leader of a civil rights movement anymore? Because most of the objectives of the actual older civil rights movement have been met. A colorblind society. But for the Democrat Party.
Yeah, you laid out the vote count of the Civil Rights Act in 1964.
Well, I mean, it's just overwhelming. The Republican Party has supported every Civil Rights Act since right after the Civil War up to today. Huge swaths of the Democrat Party have opposed every Civil Rights Act from right after the Civil War right up to today. But my key point I'm trying to get across, I think, is that the civil rights movement has turned into an economic movement, into more of a Marxist movement, which is why the trashing of capitalism, the talking from Kamala Harris and others about equity. We don't all start at the same place, which is why Bernie Sanders is on the ascendancy all the time. He's a Marxist.
And that goes back to Marx. I mean, you cite the quotes
100%.
where Marx was talking about equity versus equality.
Exactly. And you have 10 to 15% of the Democrats in the House of Representatives who are Marxists. So this is a remarkable thing. So my view is, I'm not a politician. I don't live and die by polls. I read history, I study the documents, I know what's going on, and I'm going to call it exactly the way it's happening, what we see. You got to put the puzzle pieces together. And so what the Democrat Party has done is it's projected its own rotten, lousy, hateful, bloodlust history onto the inept, incompetent, really irresponsible Republican Party, the party of who? Mitch
Lincoln.
McConnell.
Oh, now, I was going to say Lincoln, but
now, I don't even think Abraham Lincoln would get the support today of the Republicans in the Senate. You know why? Oh, he's too aggressive. Can't we do something bipartisan, whatever? I know they didn't support Ronald Reagan, one of the greatest presidents in American history. They opposed Ronald Reagan. They didn't want him to get the nomination. The Bush crowd tried to stop him and did on more than one occasion. McConnell was never a Reagan guy. Our dear friend Karl Rove was never a Reagan guy, even though he says he was. Everybody, Chris Christie, Reagan guy, these are all Ford Bush guys, now all of a sudden they're Reagan guys. They hated Reagan because Reagan was an originalist, because Reagan was an unapologetic capitalist, because Reagan saw the Soviet Union as the enemy. He was anti-communist. So they said he was stupid. And so they said he couldn't win elections. and all the rest of it.
And what they want is, I love the quote you pull out in the book where you said, basically a controlled opposition. They want to cripple the opposition, the GOP, without annihilating it. They want the other party over there so it doesn't look like authoritarianism, as long as they sit in the corner.
And they pretty much have it. They have a Republican Party that has been neutered and has done so voluntarily. And so while the Republican Party doesn't want to fundamentally transform America, it's contributing to it, which is why the establishment in the Republican Party opposed Reagan. I mean, there's certain things where you need to take a stand because they're right, regardless of the politics. You don't see that coming out of the United States Senate on the Republican side. What you see coming out of the United States Senate is the foot on the gas pedal to destroy the status quo, the traditions, the institutions, the civil society, the Constitution. This is how they sleep at night thinking about it. In their dreams, they wake up in the morning prepared to go at it, and we are constantly on defense because we don't embrace liberty like we should.
No doubt.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.